welcome back to Build with the Boys. I'm Scott, and it's time for our weekly catch-up. It's been a while. So what's been happening in the world of models? Well, not a lot, up until a couple of days ago. With the postal strikes again, I mean, it's just kind of thrown everything out of whack. So Titanic, which should have been here last week, came this week. So all those are up on the channel now, so you can see 29 through to 32 on the channel, where we're building the starboard engine. And we had a lot of detail to the portside engine. I mean, a lot of detail. Very small, very fiddly parts. It's the most airfixy part of the model I think we've done, because these parts are tiny. And most of it needed to be glued, and it was a ball ache, I ain't gonna lie to you, but it looks good, which is important. I mean, there's nothing worse than doing a bunch of tiny detail that you're never going to see. But that's not going to be the case. We are going to see this going to be quite prominent on the exposed engine section of the ship, which is lovely, because I mean, we've all done it where we've built a car and you're doing tiny detail on an engine you're never going to see. It gets hidden behind everything, and you're thinking, okay, well, that was quite a lot for no real reason. And I think that may be the case with moving on slightly to Agora's Optimus Prime. So Agora have released some images of the first couple of packs of what you're going to get with Optimus Prime, and I can show them to you. This is what the first part is going to look like. So you can get an idea from that how this is going to build up. And I mean, it does two things for me. One, it shows that there's a lot more to it than you might get from the finished images, because the finished images are quite basic. You think, well, where are the parts to this thing? But that build-up suggests that there's actually quite a lot going on with it. But at the same time, a lot of that detailing you can see, you're just not going to see. It's gonna be buried inside that model. You're never going to see it, which makes it odd. And it has been, as I expected, quite polarizing amongst the community, where some people absolutely adore that thing and others just kind of hate it. It's ran kind of cold for them, which is it was to be expected. I mean, I've had a very weird reaction to it, because I kind of prefer the movie one. Now, I'm not a fan of the Transformers movies at all. I enjoyed the first one, and then I think they weren't for me. I really like Bumblebee. I thought Bumblebee was a great movie, but the Transformers movies themselves, I thought were just, I mean, honestly, if you've not seen one and you want to replicate the effect, sit inside a metal dustbin, throw a strobe light in there, and have someone hit it with a cricket bat. That's what it's like watching a Transformers movie. So I was blowing hot and cold on this, but then having seen the trial in France of that Optimus Prime, I'd rather have that one. I've got to be honest, I think that one looks better than this one. But I'm not going to be building either. It's just, I just don't have the affection for Transformers again. I grew up in that era. It was around. It wasn't my thing. I was a Masters of the Universe kid, not a Transformers kid. So it is what it is. I've no doubt it'll sell well, because the Transformers community is kind of huge, and they do kind of want anything that comes out. But I just, as I've said before, I just think there are better versions of Optimus Prime available for less money. And that's ultimately what it boils down to. The other thing that's happened in the past week or so is we received another email from the people over at IXO and PCT, who were the manufacturer of the Eaglemoss models. Now, we received an original email from them saying, informed us that they'd bought our data, which was all very exciting at the time, but then it didn't really say that they were definitely going to be providing us with model parts. For all we knew at that point, all they'd done was bought a list of customers that are into building models, that they might have just been using to hawk their own models to. But it turns out that's not the case, because the new one we've had included a link to a Google Sheets where we could state what we were building with Eaglemoss and where we got up to, and it stated that they could then assess that and send us an offer so we could finish our models. That's great. So that confirms a few things. One, the kind of concern that some other company was going to buy it and not let you start from where you finished, that's gone. So you can forget about that. That's not going to be the case. And we've pretty much confirmed now you are going to be able to finish your models. There's no two ways about it. That's what's going to happen. How? I don't know. I can't see this being a subscription service. Can't see them going down that road. I would imagine it will be a case of serving the people in limbo first. So if you're halfway through a model, making sure you can get the stuff. And then I would imagine there's going to be a store where you're about to go and buy the individual parts. Unless what they're doing is making sure the people that were building it can finish it, and then these things just go on to become full kits. So if you were, I mean, this is all speculation, but if you were, say, 80 parts into a 120 part build, they'll let you buy the last 40 parts, you know? And then after that, they won't let anyone start at issue 1. It would be a case of you can just buy the thing as a complete kit, because a lot of IXO models are that. They are the complete kit. I'm sure people still go for it, and there are plenty of people that would prefer to do it that way than the way we do it at Partworks. Can I just buy the whole thing? There are people that collect all these and then build it when it's done. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But I mean, the good news is, the positive is, they are working on it. We're going to be able to finish our models. It's not going to be quick, right? Because again, they're going to have to process literally thousands of emails. They're going to have to crunch the data from this, right? Who needs what? What do we need of this? And this is going to be time consuming. It just is. But who knows? They might be ruthlessly efficient. We might get something, you know, within a month. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see. But it's a good thing. Don't go looking for negatives, right? There's a lot I've seen on the socials where it's any positive that comes out is immediately met with negatives. Like, why? Relax. There's a lot of, oh, but what about the 66 Batmobile? Who cares? I mean, seriously, who cares about the 66 Batmobile? I really don't. And I don't think I'd be amazed if anybody is losing sleep over a 66 Batmobile. The only thing I care about at the moment, for me and for the rest of the community, is that you get to finish what are essentially our paperweights at this point. So a model that never made it to the light of day, I don't care. It just joins the ranks of those trial models that never saw the light of day. At some point, somebody somewhere, be it IXO, be it a Hachette, be it an Agora, be it Fanhome, be it D'Agostini, whoever it is, at some point you'll see a 66 Batmobile. There's an inevitability to it. You'll see a 66 Batmobile, you'll see an 89 Batmobile, I've no doubt in my mind. Why I don't think IXO are going to put out anytime quick is because I've mentioned before, I have dealt with licensing a lot in what I do for a career, and I have dealt with Warner Brothers and DC Comics, and they are a nightmare to deal with when it comes to licensing. I can tell you a lot of stories about what it is to deal with DC. The one thing I can tell you is the thing of it's hard to get a license. No, it isn't. It's really easy to get a license. It's simple to get a license for anything. If you have an Etsy store and you want to license the products you're selling, you can do it, but you're going to have to pay them a percentage of what you're selling. And you're also going to have to meet all of their criteria. And that is where this breaks down, because with DC, getting a DC license is easy. There's nothing difficult about getting a DC license in the slightest. It's simple to get a DC license. The hard part is getting them to sign off on a finished product. That's the hard part. So getting the license, that's easy. Getting them to sign off on it, that's the hard part. Now, other companies do it in different ways, where you get the license and they give you the full criteria of you meet all of this, off you go, and it's good. DC got a nasty habit of moving the goalposts. That was my experience with them. So even though you'd sit in a room with them and we'd all, yep, everything's good, we're all good, we're happy, we're good to go, we're good, everything's good, we're good. They go, yep, brilliant, off we go, and we're into manufacturing. And then 3 days later, you get a phone call, go, oh, there is just one more thing. And you go, oh yeah, what's that? And we'd have to stop everything and change everything around. And that was the problem with them. So I could imagine IXO going through that would probably think this is more hassle than it's worth. But who knows? They might forge a good relationship with DC. You might see a 66 Batmobile, or they might offload it on someone else. Who knows? But who cares? Ultimately, who cares? It's a model that was never released. Who cares? Unless you are the world's biggest Batman fan and you have a particular affinity for the 66 Batmobile, who cares? The priority should be finishing the ones that we've already invested a lot of money and our time into and never got to finish. So beyond that, I don't care. I don't care about the 66 Batmobile. I just don't. I can't comment on what's happened with Eleanor, the Willis Jeep. I can tell the wooden Titanic, forget it. That's a completely different company. That was never IXO. That was an Italian company that made that one. But you can get it. the name escapes me, but I'll find it. That you can buy the full kit from the Italian company for a lot less than what it would have cost you to buy that wooden kit through Eaglemoss. It's the exact same kit, but you can buy it from their website as a full kit, and it would cost you a fraction of what it would have to do it through the Eaglemoss method. So that's positive news. It's positive news. Don't look for negatives in it. It's positive news. If you have not had your email yet, do not freak out, right? Because I didn't get the initial "we've bought your data" for ages. It was about 3 weeks after everyone got theirs, but then I got it. So they appear to be going out in waves. So don't panic. You'll get it. And even if you don't get it, once this has kind of done the rounds, there's nothing to stop you from contacting them and say, "Hi, I was subscribed to another DeLorean, or I was subscribed to the Ecto1. What about me?" I'm sure they will have a record of you somewhere. So don't panic. It's a good thing. Don't look for negatives. If you look for negatives, you will find them. If you close your eyes to the positives, you'll never see them. So don't freak out about it. What have we got coming up on the channel? Coming up on the channel, we've done a lot this week already. So we've had the 4 Titanics. We have had issue 2 of Disney Crochet, which I admit is weird. I'm not gonna deny it's not for everybody, but we have had it. I have got pack 10 of the Root Master. I've got 2 packs of R2D2, a 3rd pack of R2D2 on the way because we've fallen behind with that. We've also got, I've got a few Row Life from Roka models to do. I've also got Disney Doll's House, should be arriving literally any day now. So I'm expecting that to arrive either Friday or Saturday morning. And I will put them up. Now, there has been an overload of stuff this week from the channel. So, I mean, we've already put up, what are we on Thursday? This is the 7th video to go up this week. There's a reason for that. One, Postman Patch shenanigans, which slowed down our deliveries. So we're playing a bit of catch up. And 2, I'm away in Germany next week on a business trip. So I don't know how much time I'm going to have to do videos. So I'd rather give you kind of a bumper week this week and a quieter week next week. We had a quiet week last week because, again, the postal service just buggered everything up. So that should have been Titanic week last week. Wasn't. It means we're doing 2 packs Titanic in October because I'm expecting the next one to come through in about less than 3 weeks' time. So yeah, it'll be a bumper week this week with a lot of content, and then next week it might be a bit quieter because, again, I just don't know how much that's going to take out of me or what I'm going to be around to do. And it's, yeah. Whilst I'm over in Germany, I know they've got a fairly humongous model store where I'm going, so I'm definitely going fishing in there to see what I can find. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so I'll be away for a few days, and then I'll be back in business as usual. Something else that went up on the channel this week was Halloween horrors. Again, it's not for everybody. I know if you're just swinging by to see models, that's absolutely fine. But if you kind of listen to the Titanic stories, the end of Titanic, it's kind of like one of them. We like Halloween. Me and the kids love Halloween. So we're just putting some spooky stories, 10-minute stories, that if you want to get the movie for Halloween, swing by and check them out. This week's was about the Gorbals vampire, which is a remarkable story, a completely true story, but a very strange story. A piece of forgotten history, which I like the fact is now being remembered thanks to the internet and is coming back with a vengeance, because it's a story that shouldn't be forgotten. It's just too funny. It's too funny to forget. A trial has ended this week as well. So at the moment, Hachette are running, as far as I'm aware, 2 trials. They were in the middle of running the trial of the Lancaster Bomber. That trial's still going. And they're also trialing Warhammer Stormbringer, which is the Age of Sigmar version of Warhammer. So you've got 40k, which is kind of your Space Marines, and then you've got Age of Sigmar, which is more your wizards and your dragons. And they have just run a trial on that. So they've run a 4-part trial. That's literally just come to an end. That ended yesterday. So had you have signed up to that trial, you would have got your email yesterday. Thank you, but we're done. And that brings it to the end. Now, Warhammer Imperium is still running through Hachette. And that's, I think they're on about 53 at the moment. That's an 80-issue run. And that's not ending until March 15th of next year. So March 15th of the next year, issue 80 of Imperium will be out. That's the final issue. and that will bring that one to an end. So I wouldn't imagine you'll go in to see if Stormbringer goes to a full run. I wouldn't imagine you're going to see that until at least then. I would imagine March, April of next year. I can't see them running two at the same time. They might because they sell. It's a really weird one compared to the other collections they do. Because knowing what I now know about Warhammer, there are people that aren't subbed to this at all. But there are certain models that are going to come up during this collection where they will buy multiples. I mean, like 10, 15, 20 issues of something, because it's got certain miniature that they want. Whereas the ones with the paints, no one buys. If you go onto the store and you look at the Imperium stock, most of it is out of stock. Anything that isn't out of stock are either very common miniatures, or it's the issues that come with paints, or terrain. So terrain paints, those are typically the ones that are in stock, or very common miniatures. Anything that's kind of got even a touch of rarity to it is gone. The one thing I will say, if you are interested in getting into Warhammer, and this collection does run, it's worth getting, because Warhammer can be quite expensive. Whereas genuinely, the saving on collecting through Hachette is massive. And this is the difference again with that and the kind of partwork models that we build. The partwork models are never going to be worth what you pay for them. They're just not. You're paying for the convenience of being able to have a very expensive model bought over time. You know, you haven't got to lay out thousands in one hit. You buy it over time. But you're also paying for all the other stuff that comes with it. So you're paying for the magazines and then kind of all the postage and stuff like that. It's just how it works. It's the economics of it. Whereas with the Warhammer one, genuinely, it is the cheapest way to buy this stuff, because the saving, you're looking at over 40%, nearly 50% saving on what this would cost if you went into stores and bought it. So there's a lot of saving to be had. So if you are interested in getting into it, it's a very good way to do it, because it will build up armies for you, and it's good. It gives you a lot of the lore, and they do have exclusives as well. So there are miniatures exclusive to this collection you can't get outside of it. So it's worth doing. This is everything that you will get if it goes to a full run. This is an image of everything that you will get with Stormbringer. So you can see it's a lot of stuff. A hell of a lot of stuff. You get some big figures as well with that. You get some fairly massive lumps of terrain. You get some fairly massive figures as well. And I did the same with Imperium. So Imperium, there are some very big ones. You don't get the massive parts until really late in the collection. And some of those might be over 2 issues. So rather than you get it all in one hit, you'll get like half of the stuff to make it in one and half to make it in another one. But again, massive savings to be had. And if you are interested in the hobby, it's a very, very cost-effective way of doing it. With regards to what else we've got coming up, a lot is coming to an end. So Iron Man went up last week, and he's very nearly finished. So the next 4 Iron Man, which I've literally just paid for, which will be coming next week, maybe the week after, will take us up to part 90. So we've got 10 parts left of Iron Man, which is nuts. What's really nuts is we still haven't even slightly put him together. He's not even slightly built yet. Which is crazy. I can show the biggest part of him that we've got if you haven't seen this. So this is the upper body. So this is the chest, the back, and he does have, these were largely forgotten about in the in the movies, but he does have his wings. So they basically wear like air brakes. So this happens in the movie. He sort of fires these things on. You can see the kind of mesh on the back of them there. He does deploy these in the first movie, and then they just kind of forgot about him. You don't really see him again in any of the other movies. They just kind of gave up on that part. But this is the one we're making. So the one that we're making is the Mark III, which is kind of the first red finished Iron Man that was in the movies. And we just still haven't built anything yet. This is the most frustrating thing about Iron Man. If you haven't built him, or you're thinking of building him, or even if you're thinking about building Robocop that's coming, or even Optimus Prime, this is kind of what you deal with. When you build a car, or even a ship, or a plane, typically, We start with the engine. That's quite common. And then a frame is built, a chassis is built. Then we start working on the interior. Then eventually we start putting paneling on it. But we watch it build up. I mean, you can look at the doll's house is just over here. That thing's bloody huge, right? We're only like 34 issues in, 33, 32 issues in. It's massive, massive. So it's built up really rapidly. Iron Man, it's just bits. There's no base that you build from. It would have been nice if this was the first thing we built. So we started with the body, and then we started moving out and building the parts off him. So we build one leg off and another. And so we've got something. But no. So even after next month, when we got to 90, still, we just have bits in a box. We have no more structure than this. Just bits in a box. So next month we're building... this month we're building the neck, which is split into two parts. So we build the actual neck itself, but then the actual, what will be the vertebrae, the joint that makes his head move, it's a hinge, and it's like one screw, but that's an entire part. It's like, bloody hell. Then we're going to make a little bit of abdomen, and that's about it. However, November 91 to 94, we do add the head and both the arms. So by 94, we will have the upper body complete. So the head, the arms, everything will be done. Then, the month after, in December, by 97, he's built. So by issue 97, Iron Man is complete. He's built, all of him. So what's in the next three? Well, in the next three, we make more abdomens. So this model has got 4 sets of abs, and each of them is slightly twisted or turned, and it means that you can take them off and you can place them in different poses, which is fine. But I mean, ultimately, I'm going to put them in one pose. He's staying in it. The weirdest complaint about Iron Man I've heard is that he doesn't stand up. He does. Yes, he does. Oh, yeah, but without the stand. No, he doesn't stand up without the stand. That's why there's a stand. If he stood up without the stand, there wouldn't be a stand, would there? So that was a weird one. I saw a lot of sort of backlash to that. Oh, I try and stand mine up and he does the splits. And it's like, well, yeah, that's why there's a stand. It's a bloody heavy model. It's not going to stand up on its own. So that was a bit odd. Because, I mean, at first I was alarmed. I was like, Christ, it's not going to stand up. And I thought it was going to slip down on the stand. No, it stands up on the stand perfectly fine. Again, it's a model, not a toy. You know, it's supposed to just... It is as it is. I get it that people don't want that metal bar up his back, but it's kind of like, take your Terminator off his Zimmer frame that's touched the back of him. See how long he stands up for. Not very long. And I don't know how the alien's going to work. I'm assuming that it's got some rod up its ass, or possibly that the tail is going to attach to the base and that'll keep him upright. That'd be pretty sweet if they do that. I don't know how that's going to work. RoboCop, I think, is the same. I believe RoboCop has a thing that just kind of holds him. But I mean, most do. Even if you buy, like, I mean, Hot Toys come with those little stands to hold them. So it's a bit of a weird complaint, that one. Even the Optimus Prime from Agora, I'd be amazed if he just stands. He might. But I'd be amazed if he just stands up on his own. But Iron Man will be done. So by December, Iron Man will be complete. Now, to be honest with you, if I wasn't collecting the premium stand, I'd cancel the sub at that point. I wouldn't bother getting the rest of the torsos. I'd have no interest in it. I would cancel the sub. And I know a lot of people in France who could buy this from Newsagents Weekly did. They just didn't bother buying the last 3. They were like, he's built. I'm not buying the last 3. I got to go all the way to January because I need the last parts of the premium stand. And I don't think there's any harm in having those torsos. Who knows? There might be a pose that he looks great in, and I will mess around fitting all of them to see the different poses, because you never know. There's one that you never see. Like, I've seen the hero landing pose multiple times, and I've seen the one of him just standing a lot of times, but there's one where he's kind of twisted, and the idea being that you can put his legs at an angle, and as he's twisting the way firing, it looks like he's in flight. I've never seen that. No one's ever put that one together. It might be a gem. It might look fantastic. It might look terrible, but it might look fantastic. So I will try them and see which one works out the best. Then he comes to an end, so he's pretty much done, and I need someone to replace him. I still haven't said what I'm going to do to replace him. There's nothing new at the moment. that is being released, because they tend to hold back that weird time of year this is where nothing new is really coming out. But then come December, these things start appearing. So in December, you'll start seeing the ads for, the collect this, the build your own this, the, smoke yourself thin, teach yourself how to, rollerblade with this thing. All those magazines start coming out in December and January. And I've no doubt that's when we'll see models. That's possibly when we're going to see the Tumbler, which I am tempted by. I'm no huge fan of the Nolan films, but that Tumbler, I just loved the trial parts into that Tumbler. I just thought it looked gorgeous. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I'd like to do them all, but I mean, you got to be realistic with time, money, and space. So I've got my budget, and I know what I can afford to have and what I can't afford to have. But then I got to know what time I have to build these things. And also space. If you're going to start filling your house up with enormous models, you've got to make sure you've got somewhere to put them. And I have to keep a good square metre for the Lancaster Bomber, because I am buying it, and I'm going to need somewhere to keep it. So that'll be interesting. If the Doll's House turns up this week, we will be working on the base of it. So we're building what's essentially the basement where the Winnie the Pooh jaw will slide into the side of. So we stopped touching that. We touched this once more, I think, in November, and then not at all. We move away from it for a long time. I think it's like March next year we start working on the main house again. Up until that point, we're just building the basement and Winnie the Pooh's garden that slides inside. We don't touch the main house at all, which is weird. But that'll be interesting. It's a similar thing we've got on with the Titanic. We just down tools on hull. We're not building any part of the actual structure of the ship itself. We are focusing purely on the engine room, and that's definitely the case for the next two. So I think right up until, where are we, 32? I think up until 40, we are just working on that engine room. There is no other part of the ship, so we're not doing the superstructure. We're not doing the hull. None of it. We are literally just working on that engine room, but it looks glorious. And once it's done, it's done. So I mean, that's the thing. So as much as I know people are eager to get their hands on those big lumps of ship again, once it's done, it's done. All we can be left to do with then is superstructure and hull. So once the engine's out the way, it's done. Then we're on the big sexy parts, and it'll start coming together quite nice. That's about all I've got time for this week. We will be back in the week with more models. Oscar is very eager to tell you all about Werewolf by Night, which is premiering on Disney Plus tomorrow night. So I'm sure we're back to tell you all about what we think about that. In a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. We just love having you around. And we will catch you on the next one.